they start talking about this certain black figure or the so-called shadow man that kept following Christine, but not just Christine, because according to Heather, Christine's mom, this figure, entity, being has been in their family for a long time. I think we are safe to say for generations because it goes back to Heather's father and even to Heather's cousin Craig, who was at one point told by Satan to kill and sacrifice his family. In your own research, I know this is a difficult question because it's very vague. In your research, when it comes to this faceless black figure that has been following the family or the shadow man, um, can you please give any information or description that can help us understand this entity or maybe entities better?
Yeah, so I think in their case, actually, what was interesting about that is that if the shadow figure was ever gendered, it was feminine. So, and this didn't make the series, but there were instances where I believe Morgan, her cousin, you'll have to forgive me, but it's been 2 years since I've done this, but they had seen that shadow figure and they described it as feminine. It had long hair. And I think as well, Kristen and Misty, her sister, when they experienced something like a shadow figure when they were kids in the basement of their aunt's house in Ohio, I think they also gendered it female, which is odd. Usually that shadow figure phenomena, people perceive it as masculine. And I think that it's a common early stage of demonic oppression when it manifests in a home, is you'll get that shadow figure thing. And you can see, I mean, there are a number of people with just, videos capturing this kind of thing in the home. Some, I'm sure, many of them fake, but I think there are some genuine ones as well. And I think, yeah, it is an early stage demonic oppression thing, as far as I'm aware. And as far as the motivation of it, I mean, Kristen, in her story, this shadow figure that followed her, that sort of terrorized her, was one of the motivations for her to start to pursue various, magic practices, attempting to gain some kind of control over the situation with this thing that seemed to follow her. So I think, and I've seen, as far as like in other situations, in other cases, since I've seen that pattern continue to kind of manifest. There was a couple, nice Christian couple in Pennsylvania I spoke to, who had seen something like a dog man or a werewolf. That was and they had both seen it at the same time, and they both had a story that seemed very credible. But they had been, since that event, it so happens that the woman was uniquely afraid of the dark as a child for some like childhood trauma reasons. And it preyed directly on her fear of the dark. Her husband was an outdoorsman who hunts all the time, and it, has diminished his enjoyment of being able to go to the stand in the morning or come out after dark. But it had pushed both of them to look for explanations. And the people with the most, explanations and the most apparent expertise in that are people who would direct them towards sort of new age practice, and, various masks of speaking with spirits, of divination and mediumship. And those are the, so I think, I say all that just to say, I think that the motivations for those kinds of manifestations are often to get people to do that kind of thing. Though it'll rock your materialistic view of the world. And then when you look for answers, there are many people ready to give answers that are deceptive, even if they don't mean it deceptively. I don't mean to impugn everyone who practices New Age spirituality. I'm sure, you know, they're well intentioned, but deceived.